Since 1944, M&M Oil Tools has provided a trusted line of durable, high-quality tools backed by exceptional service. Our commitment to innovation and reliability continues today, delivering advanced products like the EZ-FLOW Cartridge Style Kelly and safety and top drive valves.
My name is Brad Indes. I'm the account executive for M&M Oil Tools. Today we're talking about our EZ-FLOW cartridge valve, which fits in Kelly, safety, as well as top drive valves. The EZ-FLOW cartridge is a patent-protected design. It allows for superior bidirectional pressure control as well as pressure equalization on both sides of the ball. This is achieved through the floating ball as well as dual floating seats. The floating ball design as well as dual floating seats, along with our thrust bearing which fits on your stem, allows for reduced amount of torque when opening and closing our valves. The EZ-FLOW cartridge provides easier field servicing of our Kelly, safety, and top drive valves. This video will demonstrate disassembly as well as assembly of our well control valves.
To complete the procedure, the following equipment is recommended: 2 long and 2 short flathead screwdrivers, a rubber mallet, a block of wood, O-ring safe grease, thread compound, a chain tong, a strap wrench, or a torque machine, and a wooden or plastic dowel. To remove the cartridge from the body of the 2-piece Kelly and safety valve, begin by placing the valve horizontally in a vise. Using a chain tong or strap wrench, break and unscrew the valve service connection to remove the sub-end. Use a torque machine if needed. Remove the thread protector and use a dowel or similar object to push the cartridge out through the service connection end. Removing the cartridge from a 1-piece Kelly or top drive valve requires a slightly different procedure. Place the valve upright where you can visualize the retainer ring within and with the valve in the open position. Make sure to protect the valves and threads and that the valve is stable enough not to topple over, causing property damage or injury. Remove the spiral retainer ring using 2 screwdrivers or 1 screwdriver and a pair of pliers. If the retainer ring is stuck due to mud caking buildup, tap down lightly to loosen. Lift the locking segments out of the body groove, starting with the longer segment first. There are 4 in all to remove. For the next step, remove the thread protector and rotate the valve vertically so the larger bore internal diameter box connection is now facing down. Use the operating wrench to close the valve. The tool should rest on a piece of wood or rubber mat so that the cartridge will not be damaged during the process and should be stable as to not fall over. Use a plastic or wooden dowel to push the cartridge from the valve through the box connection end, where the retaining assembly was removed. Now the operating stem assembly can be removed by pushing the stem toward the inside diameter of the valve. Be sure to secure all pieces of the assembly, including the stem O-rings, and a garlock bearing. Disassembling the cartridge is a fairly simple process. Place the cartridge upright with the lower seat carrier facing down. Remove all 4 round retainer rings by pulling each of them out using needle nose pliers, taking care not to disfigure the round retainer rings. Next, insert the tip of a narrow flathead screwdriver into the remaining arm removal slot located on the upper seat carrier and pry off the top section of the retaining arm. Repeat this process on the opposite arm and remove the carrier by lifting up. Now you can slide the ball out of the cartridge and take out the stem key or keys. Detach both of the retaining arms by pushing the top of the arms inward. The floating seats should be removed from the upper and lower seat carriers by prying upward with a flathead screwdriver on either side of the seat. Find the grooves of the seat on the round retaining ring slot located on the opposite sides of the seat carriers. Use caution when prying as to not damage the seats, and do not pry on the O-ring groove. Slide the wave springs out from both the upper and lower seat carriers. In most designs there are two, but some valves will only have one wave spring in each carrier. Remove all O-rings from the seats and the seat carriers using a flathead screwdriver, O-ring tool, or other sharp object. Then remove the O-rings from the stems. Finally, remove the thrust bearers. Now that the cartridge is completely disassembled, all parts should be cleaned thoroughly, either in the parts washer or by hand. Before you begin to assemble the tool, inspect all components and replace any worn or damaged components. All O-rings shall be replaced regardless of wear or damage. Lubricate all internal components by using O-ring safe grease. Place O-rings on both seats and upper and lower seat carriers. Put either one or two wave springs in each carrier depending on the design. If placing two wave springs in each, make sure the gaps are opposite from one another. Insert the floating seats by placing the seat into the carrier and pushing down evenly and firmly on the seat. You may also accomplish this by placing a block of wood on top of the seat and then gently tapping with a rubber mallet. Next, place the cartridge arms on the lower seat carrier. Begin by first locating the attachment grooves on the arms, then sliding each arm into place by slightly angling the arm inward, sliding downward into the matching attachment groove located on the lower seat carrier. Once the attachment grooves have engaged, place the arm in the vertical position. Place the stem keys into the key slots located on the arms. If only one key is required, then place the key in the right arm slot labeled with an R. Next, slide the ball into the cartridge by aligning the stem key and the stem key slot located on the ball and sliding the ball down into the cartridge. Next, place the upper seat on top of the ball, lining up the attachment tabs to the seat carrier with the slots located on the arms. You may need to slightly pull one arm outward to place the seat carrier in place. Push down on the seat carrier until both of the attachment tabs have engaged the tab attachment slots on the arms. You can confirm the arm is placed correctly by checking that the attachment tab on the upper seat carrier is flush with the arm's tab attachment slot. If the tabs are not flush, gently tap the upper arm with a rubber mallet. Your last step is to place the 4 round retainer rings into the grooves located on the upper and lower seat carriers. Now that the EZ-FLOW cartridge is assembled, you can prepare to place it back in the valve body. Start by putting the bearing and O-ring assembly onto the operating stems. First, place the garlock bearing on the stem, followed by the Viton O-ring and the backup O-ring. Next, grease around the stems and the stem holes and push the stems into place from the inside of the valve body. If your valve assembly requires 2 stems, be sure the right and left side stems are placed in the correct stem holes. Each stem and each stem hole is marked with an R and L. Some valves may only require 1 stem, and it should be placed into the right side. Now move the stems to the closed position by lining up the stem indicator with the closed position mark on the valve body. To place the cartridge back in a one-piece Kelly or top drive valve, begin by preparing the cartridge with grease. With the valve in the closed position, place the complete EZ-FLOW cartridge valve assembly into the valve body. Ensure the cartridge is oriented properly by locating the right and left markings on the cartridge and lining them up with the markings of R and L on the valve body. Use a dowel or similar object with a soft end to push the cartridge into the valve. Place the 4 locking segments into the locking segment groove. Start with a longer segment first, followed by a short segment, then long, then short segment last. Place the support ring inside of the locking segments. Put the valve in the open position and replace the thread protector. Finally, install the retainer ring using 1 or 2 screwdrivers. The valve is now ready for hydrostatic test in accordance with the latest edition of API 7.1. To replace the EZ-FLOW cartridge into a 2-piece Kelly or safety valve, put the valve body with the sub-end removed back into a vise. Place the cartridge into a valve using a dowel to tap into place. Put an O-ring on the sub end and apply thread compound on the internal connection. Reinsert the sub end into the valve body using a strap wrench or chain torque to tighten the connection. The assembly process is now complete. M&M's Kelly, safety, and top drive valves are precision machined. Our products conform to API and ISO 9001 QMS requirements. Each valve can be provided with full traceability, including mill certificates. With proper maintenance and cleaning, your well control valves will provide efficient and long-lasting, dependable service.